On the night of February 19, 2026, a 20-year-old girl from Oakland, California stood on an Olympic podium in Milan and put on a gold medal that an entire country had been waiting 24 years to see. 24 years. 6 different Olympic Games. Dozens of American women who trained their whole lives, made the team, showed up, and came home without it. Some of them were the best in the world and still could not get there. Some of them were right on the edge and fell at exactly the wrong moment. Some of them burned out before they ever got the chance. And all of them left that gold medal sitting in someone else's hands while America watched and wondered when it was coming back. This is the story of those 24 years. The women who carried it. The moments that broke hearts. The reasons the drought lasted as long as it did. And why a 20-year-old kid who retired at 16 and came back on a whim is the one who finally ended it. To understand the drought, you have to start with the woman who came right before Sarah Hughes. Because the shadow that hangs over those 24 years does not belong to anyone who won. It belongs to someone who never did. Kwan. If you did not grow up watching figure skating in the 90s and early 2000s, you might not fully understand what Kwan meant to American sports. She was not just a skater. She was the skater. 9-time U.S. national champion. 5-time world champion. The most decorated American figure skater in the history of the sport. She was on cereal boxes. She was on People magazine. She was on the cover of Time. She had a sticker of the 1998 Nagano Olympics on her bed as a little girl to motivate herself every morning, and then she actually made it there and was the overwhelming favorite to win. She lost to a 15-year-old named Tara Lipinski who had been performing 2 triple jump combinations that nobody else in the world could match. Kwan had the artistry, the grace, the reputation, and the experience. Lipinski had the jumps. Jumps won. Kwan handled it with a quiet dignity that made people love her even more. She said she would come back. She won the world title that same year. She dominated the sport for the next 4 years. And then the 2002 Salt Lake City Olympics arrived, and this time the gold was really, genuinely hers. She fell in the free skate. Her teammate Sarah Hughes, who was in 4th place after the short program and was not supposed to be anywhere near a medal, skated the free skate of her life. She was 16 years old. She was not nervous because she genuinely had nothing to lose. She landed 2 triple jump combinations nobody expected. She moved from 4th to 1st in one program. She won Olympic gold. Kwan, the greatest American figure skater in history, the woman with 9 national titles and 5 world championships, stood on the podium in 3rd place. She never tried for the Olympics again in any meaningful way. A stress fracture forced her out of the 2006 Turin Games after she arrived. And that was it. The woman who should have been the face of American Olympic figure skating gold went home with 2 medals, neither of them the one she wanted most. Lipinski had one in 1998. Hughes won in 2002. And then the gold disappeared from American hands for a very long time. Turin, Italy. 2006, 4 years after Salt Lake City. Sarah Hughes, who shocked the world at 16 winning that gold medal, had already retired. She went to Yale. She moved on with her life. The speed with which she left the sport she had just conquered still surprises people. That left Sasha Cohen. Sasha was one of the most beautiful skaters to ever compete. Flexible in ways that seemed anatomically impossible. Spirals that made judges forget to write scores. Artistry that belonged in a museum. She was the kind of skater you watched not just to see whether she landed the jumps, but because even when she was just moving across the ice between elements, she was worth every second of your attention. She led after the short program in Turin. She was one perfect free skate away from the Olympic gold that everyone in the building assumed was going to her. She fell on her first jump. Then she fell again on her second jump. She was so convinced she had blown her chance at any medal at all that she changed out of her skating outfit before the awards ceremony was over. She had to put it back on when the scores came in, and it turned out she had still won silver. Because even a Sasha Cohen program with 2 falls was still better than almost anyone else. But the gold went to Japan's Shizuka Arakawa. And America had now been without Olympic figure skating gold for 4 years with no immediate sign of when it was coming back. After 2006, American women went a full decade without winning a medal of any color at the World Championships. A full decade. The drought was not just at the Olympics. It was everywhere. The Japanese skaters took over. Then the Koreans. Then the Russians dominated in a way nobody could touch. Teenagers with quad jumps and extraordinary technical difficulty who were winning titles and then disappearing by their 20s, their bodies unable to maintain what their coaches had pushed them to do. America was watching all of this from the outside. And wondering. Sochi, Russia. 2014, this was supposed to be when it ended. Gracie Gold was everything the name implied. Tall. Elegant. Technically gifted. She had the jumps, the looks, the personality, the magazine covers. She was 20 years old and the media had already decided she was going to be the face of American skating for the next decade. She finished 4th. 4th. 1 place off the podium. 1 place away from any medal at all. The kind of result that looks clean on a leaderboard but lands like a gut punch. When you realize how close the line between 4th and 3rd actually is in figure skating scoring. Ashley Wagner, who had been in a 3-way battle with gold and others for years, finished 7th. America left Sochi with nothing. And then the years after Sochi were where the real story of the drought got painful. Because what happened to Gracie Gold between Sochi 2014 and Pyeongchang 2018 was not a competitive failure. It was a human being falling apart under the weight of what had been put on her shoulders. She developed an eating disorder. She battled depression. She was self-medicating and struggling in ways that the public mostly only found out about after she had already entered treatment. She was supposed to be the future of American skating, and she was barely holding herself together. In 2017 she withdrew from competition. She entered a rehabilitation facility. She was 22 years old. When she came back she was open about all of it in a way that athletes rarely are. She said the expectations had been crushing. She said the system that was supposed to support her had contributed to her collapse. She said she had spent years performing a version of herself that was not real while the real version was deteriorating underneath. Gracie Gold did not end the drought. But her story is one of the most important chapters in understanding why the drought lasted as long as it did. The system that was supposed to produce champions was sometimes producing the opposite. Pyeongchang, South Korea. 2018, Ashley Wagner had been one of the most consistent American women of her generation. 3-time U.S. national champion. Silver at the World Championships. A skater with genuine fire and personality who said exactly what she thought and competed with a visible hunger that made her compelling to watch even when she fell short. She finished 7th in Sochi. She was not on the 2018 Olympic team at all. Not because she did not skate well enough. She did. At the 2018 U.S. Championships she skated one of the best performances of her career. But the selection committee chose skaters who had scored higher internationally and left Wagner off the team. She was furious. She said so publicly. The decision was controversial and debated loudly for weeks. The skaters who went to Pyeongchang without her finished 9th, 10th, and 11th. The gold went to Alina Zagitova of Russia, who was 15 years old. America finished outside the top 10 with all 3 skaters. The drought had now stretched to 16 years. Beijing, China. 2022, a 16-year-old Alysa Liu made the U.S. Olympic team. She finished 6th. She had been through an FBI investigation because the Chinese government was spying on her father. She competed with a security detail. She skated well. She came home. And then she retired. She was 16 and she was done. She posted a quiet message on Instagram and stepped away from everything. And America was still waiting. The gold went to Anna Sherbakova of Russia, who competed as a neutral athlete under the ROC flag. Fourth Russian gold in a row. The Americans finished 6th, 10th and 16th. It was not a crisis anymore because a crisis implies surprise. This was just the reality of where American women's figure skating stood. Here is the part of this story that most coverage of the drought gets wrong. It is easy to look at the list of results and conclude that American women simply were not good enough. That the Russians were better and the Japanese were better and the Koreans were better and America just had to wait its turn. That is not the whole story. The truth is more complicated. American figure skating had been operating with a system that prioritized the production of elite athletes without always doing enough to protect the human beings inside those athletes. Gracie Gold's story is the most extreme example, but it is not the only one. Burnout was common. Eating disorders were common. Skaters peaking at 17 and being gone by 22 was common. The scoring system had also shifted in ways that rewarded pure technical difficulty over the combination of artistry and athletics that American women had historically been great at. Skaters like Kwan, who combined extraordinary grace with technical skill, were now being passed by teenagers with quad jumps who had the technical score but less of everything else. And the Russians had built a factory. A brutal, efficient, ethically questionable factory. Young girls coached with methods that got results and also left a trail of physical and psychological damage that only became visible after the medals were won. Their skaters won gold and then vanished within a few years because their bodies could not sustain what had been demanded of them. America was competing against a machine and trying to do it while caring about the people it was producing. Sometimes that is not enough to win. But it is the right way to try. And then Alysa Liu came back. She was not supposed to. She had retired at 16, gotten her driver's license, gone to UCLA, climbed Everest, played Fortnite until 4 a.m. and decided she was done. And then one day on a ski trip she felt the speed and the rush and something pulled her back. She came back completely differently. She was in charge of everything. Her music. Her costumes. Her schedule. She had told her father he was no longer part of the team. She was skating for herself for the first time in her life. At the 2025 World Championships in Boston she won. She became the first American woman to win a world title in 19 years. The drought was ending before it had officially ended at the Olympics. And on February 19, 2026, in Milan, she skated the best free program of her life. 150.20. Highest score of the night. The arena went wild. She screamed something very unfiltered that the cameras absolutely caught. The score went up and it was gold. Sarah Hughes was in the stands watching. She posted on Instagram right after and said she was thrilled and honored to be there in person to pass the title to Alysa. One generation to the next. 24 years of waiting and heartbreak and fallen champions and almost moments and a sport that asked too much of too many young people before it found the one who came back on her own terms and simply could not be stopped. Here is the thing about 24 years. It sounds like a long time. And in sports terms it genuinely is. But when you lay out the actual stories of the women who lived inside those 24 years, it stops feeling like a gap in a trophy case and starts feeling like what it actually was. A parade of extraordinary women who each gave everything they had on the biggest possible stage. Some of them fell. Some of them showed up healthy and still fell short because the competition was that good. Some of them fell apart under the weight of what was being asked of them and had to rebuild themselves before they could try again. And some of them, like Kwan, were the best in the world and still went home without the thing they worked their whole lives for. Alysa Liu did not end the drought in spite of all of those women. She ended it because of them. Because they built a history for American figure skating that meant something when she stepped onto that ice. Because Sarah Hughes showed that a 16-year-old no one expected could win from 4th place. Because Michelle Kwan showed what it looked like to carry a sport with grace even when the sport did not always give back what it took. Because Sasha Cohen showed that silver after 2 falls was still possible if you were extraordinary enough. Because Gracie Gold showed what it cost when the system failed and why protecting the person matters as much as producing the champion. Alysa Liu was standing on all of that when she took the ice in Milan. She just did not need all of it to be perfect. She just needed to be completely herself. She was. And the drought ended.